Good afternoon, students. Good
Good afternoon,
afternoon,
ma'am.
Good
everyone.
afternoon, ma'am.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, ma'am.
So basically, today, why we have all joined together, not just the fourth sem student who are studying product design, but also from the other semester batches, is for you to realize how design is, a combined field. All right. As you do all your architectural design now, this is the time you realize that once you become designers, you have a lot to explore on. And I'm very happy to introduce architect Sonal Sahai. She's right there, who has joined with us. She's an architect and also a product designer. And I pass it on to you, Sonal, from here.
Yeah. Okay, thanks for the introduction. Hello, everyone. I'm Sonal Sahai. So I did my architecture from BMS School of Architecture, and then I had 2 years of experience in the field. And right now, I'm doing my master's in product design, and I'm in my final semester. So I'll be sharing you a presentation where I'll be discussing about the field, everything, about as well as about my journey. Is my screen visible?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes,
Yeah,
ma'am.
ma'am.
Okay. So, like, yeah, in this presentation, I'll be telling you about some famous designers, some design examples, and I'll be telling you about how architecture is very much similar to product design in terms of its design process. And like throughout the presentation, if any one of you have any doubts, questions, suggestion, queries, feel free to answer. Let's make this interactive. So, what do you guys know about product design? Like, what is the concept? What do you know about this course?
Ma'am, it's like taking inputs from others and actually doing a study on a product and then designing, which is it's design basically designing a product which is most can say compatible to use or which is more user friendly to use, so that like if a product isn't designed well, then it would actually have a lot of negatives to it, and if it's not planned properly, even from a smallest thing, it would actually hamper it.
Yeah, that's a really good point. It is definitely about user. It's a completely user-centric design course, which denies about all the specific details. Even if you go wrong in the smallest context, it can impact in a large scale. So, yeah. So, product design is about imagining, creating, iterating products that solves users' problems. So, it's all about problem solving and visualizing the needs of the user. The first step is understanding the user's needs, their problems, and then finding a solution. So throughout this process, we work with a lot of professionals, engineers, marketing people, advertisement people. So it's a very collaborated field. Just like in architecture, we work with civil engineers and MEP service guys, contractors. It's the same role as of the product designer. He's the architect during the product development. So other people like engineers are generally involved in the usability, but for the entire concept, ideation, crafting, it's the work of the product designers that comes into play. So in the scope of field of this course is like you can be a product designer where you'll be designing kitchen appliances, utility ware, consumer electricals, things like that. CAD technician is again the 3D modeler, which is similar we have in architecture. And product manager is someone who basically manages the entire ball game of design. So they are involved with all the other fields, the marketing people, the engineers, the designers. So he manages, it's similar to the project manager in the during construction, that role. And then we have UI UX designer. So UI UX design is all about the digital side, the intangible side of product design, where it's related to development of webs, apps, and websites. About service design and system design is somewhat similar. What they do is like they design the entire experience of a consumer. So if it is something like going to a restaurant or to an airport or even government services, even a bank, so the entire strategy and planning is done in service design. When it comes to the other field of design research, This is actually very interesting. There are a lot of tools which is involved in design research programs. You are on field, and then you try to understand the user, the type of context they are in, their behaviors, their patterns, and you document them. So this is like a very important thing, which is important data, which we as product designers use in developing our products. Then next is product photography. For people who have really good photography skills, they can pursue this. And it's packaging design, graphic design, and branding. So these all are interrelated in some ways. Packaging is for all those consumers use the products, and those people with really good 2D skills can actually pursue this course. Then we have furniture, lighting, exhibition, and retail, which is on similar grounds to architecture. It's easier for architects to do and fare well in these courses. Then we have lifestyle design. Lifestyle design is more related to wearables, and yeah, aesthetic is given a lot of more importance. This is not much mass manufactured, and aesthetic design is given a major priority when it comes to lifestyle. Then thus you can always have your own startup and actually have all these designs in your own design firm company, and you can always go in teaching. So any one of you guys have any doubts regarding any of the fields that you would?
No, ma'am.
Okay. Sure. So I'll just go on to the next slide. So yeah, we're gonna talk about some famous product designers who inspired me to do product design. So yeah, Jonathan Ive. So he's the chief designer officer at Apple. So all those uh, minimal looking products which you see, which has been given by Apple, the iMac, the famous iPad, has been designed by Jonathan Ive. Specializes just in making electrical products. Then people like Charles and Ray Ames. So during their time, they were famous for creating the sophisticated looking set of furniture, which is called as the Eames look. And they experimented with various kinds of materials and the entire experience of using these furniture products. This is Philip Stark. So he's a multidisciplinary designer. He's one of the most iconic designers out there. He's mostly famous for his juicy salve over there, lifestyle products, then plumbing wear products, interiors, furniture, and one of this famous which he's advertising is that spectacles at 360-degree movement specs. He's one of the most iconic designers of his time. And next is Kareem Rashid. So he's known as King of Plastics. All of his products which he makes is generally made of plastic, and he follows a similar kind of design language. All of them are really feminine, fluidic, colorful, and playful. And the same design language he has incorporated in almost all of his design fields, whether it's fashion, exhibition, architectural facade, graphics, industrial, or interiors. So here are some of his works, which yeah, like you can see, he has a particularly very unique style, and which is really dramatic and out of the box. So this is also an example of a multidisciplinary designer, which is just not related to architecture. So yeah, next I'm gonna show you examples of some design examples which will make you question about the role of a designer in the society and how much it is impactful at a large scale level. So what do you guys think this picture is of?
Ma'am, a cockpit, ma'am.
Yes. Yes, it's a picture of a cockpit. So even in this cockpit, like all these small controls and tabs have been done by designers. So here, designers play a very huge responsibility while designing this. You not only just have to think about aesthetic, there's a lot of planning involved, and you need to understand a lot of the psychology of the pilot as well, and the various scenarios he's going to be in. So this is basically a cockpit of the B-17 bomber during the time of the World Wars. So a major incident happened in this cockpit. What happened, like the pilot landed the cockpit, but even after landing, the entire plane was destroyed. What do you think could have gone wrong after landing the plane? Any guesses?
Some issues related to the fuel tank.
No, it was not really. No, it was a design error. Any guesses?
Ma'am, was it a wrong placement of the button or something, ma'am?
No, there was no wrong placement of the button. Any more guesses? Yeah,
Something
somewhat.
wrong with the landing, ma'am.
No,
Maybe
like
the
he
gearbox.
landed the plane. After landing, this happened.
Is it because of the placement of the mirrors?
Placement of the
Mirrors in front. I mean,
mirrors.
he couldn't
No,
see.
no, the weather was perfectly fine. Think, guys.
Ma'am, was the fuel tank a bit too close to the engine?
No. Okay.
Uh, the gears.
Yeah, it was something related to the gas. You
Yeah.
close. Okay, so I'll just tell you guys what happened when the pilot landed this aeroplane. It crashed, and it was termed as a design error. What actually happened, like the control tabs which we are saying, when the pilot lands, he was supposed to press the wind retracting gear. Okay, and the wind retracting gear and the landing gear were placed next to each other, and the pilot was in a state of agitation. He was anyways during it was the time of the wars. So in hurried motion, he just pressed the landing gear instead of the wing retracting gear, as a result of which the entire plane crashed. And this didn't happen once, this happened many times. So this was also the pilot's error, you can say, in one way, but it was also a design error, because all these control tabs, if you see, they look exactly the same and they are next to each other. So what happened, they hired a designer called Alphonse Japanese. So he's considered as one of the world's first user interface designer. So after examining this, what he did, he created two different kind of knobs. He changed the shape, he changed the texture, like one was made of rubber, some was made of plastic. So once he did this, there was no other problem like this that ever happened. Because like the user kind of knew if it is circular, it is the wind flaps down, and if it's rectangular, it's the landing gear. So these small little things play a major responsibility in saving even millions of money. So, yeah, this is another example, like by Otis. It's like another design failure by Otis, actually. So, yeah, suppose you are on fifth floor and you have to go to the ground floor. Which button will you press in the picture shown?
Ma'am, the one towards the left.
The arrow?
Left side one.
Left side one.
The one beside.
Okay, can you see my arrow?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, this one.
No, ma'am, the below one.
Yeah.
This one.
Yeah, ma'am.
Yes.
Okay. Well, how many people say it can be this one also?
Me.
Okay, one.
It's
Me
so
too.
common.
Me, ma'am.
Okay. Okay, two people say this, two people say this. Anyone
Could
who
be
says it
either
can
way.
say this also?
No, it's kind of ambiguous. It's very
Yeah, exactly.
clear.
Yeah, it's confusing, no? It can be
Yes,
this or this or this or this. Because all these pattern looks three-dimensional anyways. So yeah, so if I give you this picture, will this create some kind of clarity?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes,
Yeah,
ma'am.
ma'am.
Yeah.
Yeah. So now which one do you think will it be?
The one towards the left, ma'am.
This one, no?
Yeah,
Yeah,
ma'am.
ma'am.
Yeah. If I give you something like this, then what do you think will it be?
Now it's confusing, ma'am.
Right?
The side.
Yeah, the side one, because of this graphic element. If I give you something like this, then what?
Ma'am, the down is the right side one.
Yeah, the down is this one, right side one, right? So yeah, these small things like a gap or a line, these small things are called as signifiers. They play a major role in helping people make decisions. So, like in the first case, there's a lot of ambiguity. When a person who is in a hurry, he wants to rush to his office, there's some meeting, he might just press random button. He might just press left one, right one, the arrow one, anything. But if you give something like a gap over here or a line over here, so it gives some kind of more clarity, like, okay, this is the one which we need to press. So it reduces a lot of cognitive load from the user while they are using these kind of things. So yeah, this is an example of a design failure which Otis was deemed responsible for because people faced a lot of problems with this kind of design. I'll give you one more example. So yeah, again, you're on the first floor of the building and you want to go to the 10th floor and it's showing that elevator is on the 5th floor. Which button will you press?
Top, ma'am.
Top one.
Yeah.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
But the elevator is in the 5th floor. How do you know you want to go to the top or if the lift, you want the lift to come down to you? It can be that,
Ma'am,
right?
the thing is, when you click a button, it's basically calling the lift so that you can go on top.
Yeah, so lift is in the 5th floor and you're in the first. Then you should press the down button so that the lift comes down to you, right?
Yeah,
Ma'am,
ma'am, but
I've
then you're
always
calling the
had
lift,
this
ma'am.
confusion, ma'am.
Yeah, but don't you think? So which one will you press? The up one or the down one?
The top, ma'am.
Because you want
Yes,
to.
ma'am.
Up
Yes, ma'am.
one, ma'am.
Okay, so basically, this is the situation that's always causing a problem. Okay, whether you press up button because you want to go up, or do you press the down button because you want the elevator to come down to you? So in this scenario, people generally either they press first one or they press the second one or they press both of them all together. So this have happened with people around? Does it happen with you?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. So this is also an example of a problem which the elevator designers lack to fix this. So like these problems which you see like addressed in the book of design of everyday things by Don Norman. Like if you are interested to read about more of such kind of design things or problems around you, which then you can just refer this book. It talks about it's how the user responsibility to know how to use a product, that it's not its responsibility, it's the responsibility of the designer, that the design they make it's flawless enough to use. If you guys are interested in these kind of design, you should definitely read this book. So I'll give you one more example. You have to go to the other side. Which one will you go? Will you push this door or will you pull this door?
Ma'am, if there's a sign we could read, ma'am. This is
Yeah.
really confusing.
Yes, this kind of a design error has been seen quite a lot of places. This is not your fault if you get a door wrong. It's called as a Norman door. So Norman door is a poorly designed door that confuses or fails to give you whether to push or pull, just exactly the way you said. So does this give some clarity?
Yeah,
Yeah,
ma'am.
ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. So this is the universal sign which has been cited. Like if it is push, then it should be a plane surface which we are pushing. If we are pulling, then there should be a handle. So the door image which you see towards the right is like a good example to remove this kind of ambiguity. It's why one of the reasons, like even if you see in those fire extinguisher doors, they have this push bar, which is those panic bars because you're pushing it, which is similar from the similar design. So, what is the difference you can see in between these two smartphones?
Ma'am, the buttons are placed a little far away from each other.
Yeah. Anything else?
And
The spacing between buttons, ma'am.
Okay.
The second one,
Layout,
screen
ma'am.
is a
One is
bit better.
QWERTY and one is the regular ABC.
Yeah, can you repeat? I did not get you.
Ma'am, the keys, one follows QWERTY language and the other is basic ABCD.
Yes. Got it right. So, what happened? Like, Lapa just challenged, like, if they, launch a product that is have the ABCD kind of keypad language, it'll excel in the market because they wanted to create a different kind of smartphone because BlackBerry was at its peak at its time. But then when it was launched, it failed miserably because people were not able to use this product because of its keypad. So, do you guys know why that's the case? Why we are more comfortable with the QWERTY keypad and not the ABCD one?
Ma'am,
Ma'am, because
because you'll have to.
laptops
Okay.
follow the same pattern.
Yeah, why do you
So,
think
ma'am,
laptops, phones, everywhere they follow the same pattern?
ma'am, because the
Ma'am, the
other BlackBerry thing which is there, you'll have to press multiple times to get the word or a number.
Huh? No,
So,
that's not my question. My
Ma'am,
question is,
the
ma'am, in
vowels.
QWERTY keyboard, the letters are spaced. I mean, the letters are placed specifically. So in the
hmm,
middle row, you have your most used letters, and in the top and bottom rows, you have your least used letters. So
yeah,
it's based on like the words, the most common used words, and the least common used words.
yeah, that's one of the reasons. Now you said it right. It is one of the reasons why. Anyone else have any more points to make? Why this is like that? Okay, okay, fine. I'll tell you. So it's because it dates back to the history again. What happened was this kind of arrangement was given because of the typewriters. Like during the time of the history, people used to type and typewriters using the ABCD format in which the alphabetics were placed continually. So during that time, what happened? They used to type pretty fast, and there were a lot of keypad jams. So what they did, they created this kind of random arrangement in which this slowed down the way they type. So the keypad jam reduced, people did not wreck their hand anymore. And then it became something which is this random arrangement was created, and this became a standard thing which we use everywhere. And the reason why we are able to quickly adapt to this wherever it is, whether it's your phone and not to something like lava, it's because of the design reason called as cognitive memory. So this has been carried on for years, and then you have an inherited knowledge of this kind of design, so it is easy for you to use. So inherited memory another example would be something like a switch, like which is the on one, which is the off one. This is because it's been used a lot of times and a lot of where. So you need to think about all these things while you're designing a product, because it impacts memory, and there is a lot of cognitive psychology attached to any product a user is using. So yeah, that's why Lava failed miserably in the market and they stopped the production of this kind of phones. Okay, so another example I'll give you. This is a JC Penny tea kettle. Now this is an award-winning product. It won a lot of award, a lot of recognition, a lot of design awards. But then when they tried to put it in the market, it did not succeed well. Like it failed really miserably. People threw this kettle out of their homes. Can you guys think of why this happened? Any guesses is fine. Like you can go wide with this.
It wasn't user friendly.
Of handle, ma'am.
Yeah.
Because of the handle, ma'am.
Handle. What's wrong with the handle?
It's not very convenient.
To hold.
Right handles are better.
Ma'am, because of the nozzle of the kettle.
Ma'am, it's because when
Like
you
when you're pouring it,
Ma'am.
it's not very.
Okay.
ma'am, when you
Sorry.
tilt the kettle, I think the top of the thing it usually falls off on your hand.
Okay.
Ma'am, we have to
The lid.
hold and both. You
Okay,
cannot use it in one hand, ma'am.
I'll give you guys one clue. There is no functional or usable error in this. That's not the reason. It's completely something else. Like functionally, it worked properly in terms of usability also. What else can you think other than that?
Ma'am, did they not like the belt or something?
No, that's not the reason.
The material?
No, it's not the material also.
I think it's the nozzle because while you're going to pour the tea or whatever,
It's gonna be
You will
like
have to use it in like two
use
hands.
other hand. You have to hold it in one hand and use the other. Yeah, like I said, like it's not a usability error. It's just because okay, I'll give you a clue, one because it's a little hard to crack. This kettle reminded people of something. What
Ma'am, I
can it be?
figured that out, ma'am.
What?
Is it the shape, ma'am?
Yes, to some extent. You're coming a little close.
Bell.
No, no, there's nothing to do with the bell. It's because of a it's because of a purely the way it looks. Think a little more. Like shape is one of the factors.
Elephant trunk.
Nah, no, no. Fine, I'll just tell this one. This kettle looked like Adolf Hitler. That's why people did not like this product. They threw it out of their homes. If you see, the handle form looks like his hair, the top lid looks like his mustache, and the bell whistle spout looks like as if he's saluting.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's why they just threw this product out. No one used it. So even though it won a lot of awards, uh, it was a big failure. The designer himself did not realize that it looked like Adolf Hitler. So subconsciously, we don't know what kind of product, whatever product we make, and how different people interpret it. It's very subjective. So yeah, this is one famous example of that. Ah, other one. How many of you guys have seen this product, the juicy salad? No one? Okay. So basically, it's a lemon squeezer product. Like as you can see in the picture, this was designed by Philip Stark, the one I mentioned in the earlier slides. So this is also an award-winning product. It was shown in the Museum of National Arts in New York, and there's a lot of controversy regarding this product. The thing is why? Because when this was placed in the market, many people bought it. But then in terms of its usability, it did not pour the lemon juice pretty well, or one of its one of these things broke, the legs broke, and it was not pretty in terms of usability. It was not that great. But then also, it was a very famous piece of product. Like everyone at that time wanted a juicy salad. It looks so cool. But what do you guys think? Is it a genius design or just a cool fruit squeezer? Like, I want your perspective here.
Ma'am, it looks cool, ma'am. I don't know about the functionality though.
So, will you buy it?
Yeah, as a decor piece.
It might not
Ma'am,
work out with all the fruits, ma'am.
Yeah.
there's no handle or anything to like hold it and actually.
No. This is the way it is.
Yeah, ma'am, it's nice for a decor piece, ma'am. It looks
Yeah.
pretty nice.
Wow.
Yeah. So, this just looks like a beautiful piece of sculpture. And many people bought it. It was really famous, really controversial. But then again, it's not very useful. So, this again always creates a controversy how to balance aesthetics and usability. It's a big question when it comes to these kind of design because you never know what people might buy. This is something which is called as a halo effect. So it is something which is difficult to separate the content of a work from its form. It is a cognitive bias that in simple word means that what is beautiful seems interesting, good, and usable. So this is the reason why many people just buy beautiful looking products even though they are not useful, which is again a conflict which is there in the world. Yeah, this is an example, exaggerated example of aesthetics over usability. Like a shoes is made to look very nice, attractive, but at the same time it's burning and it's destroying the feet of the model. But this is like a demonstration of how humans can be seduced by aesthetic design, even at the price of their health. Would you guys like to give some examples of this case?
Ma'am, heels, ma'am.
Heels, yeah. Heels is
Then your this thing, ma'am, the straightening irons.
straightening iron. How is
uh,
this?
like some people tend to use it so much that it starts deteriorating their hair ka health.
Yeah, yeah. But that's the end product of it. What about in terms of product? Can you give an example of a product like that? Like here, the hair is getting damaged. Agreed. Even the heels, but like the work of a straightener, it is usable. It's
Mobile.
oh, mobile phone. Can you explain it a little bit more?
I mean, health-wise, it is really bad, but
Yeah.
because of its aesthetic and how it's used, everyone uses it.
Yeah, I think it's you're trying to talk about the apps which are there in the phone.
Yeah, yes, ma'am.
Yes. Social media apps could be an example. Good one. Yes. But then, what do you think should be done for these kind of things? What should be the solution?
Ma'am, there are many solutions where the screen time is limited and everything. Like there are a lot of available things, but it's the mind that we have to control by ourselves.
Yeah, self-control. That's true. But like as designers, we should remember these things. Like there should always be a balance between aesthetics and usability. Anything too much can be something like this model. It can be an example of that, especially like you see in fashion industry, this happens quite a lot. Okay, I'll go to the next slide. So I'll show you some examples of some award-winning products. This is a good example of a folding plug. Like if you see this plug, its size is similar to that of any normal size plug, but then just by adding a folding feature, it can save up a lot of space, and you can even add other plugs to it, and it also has a USB charger. So this is an example of a purely usable and functional design, but a smart design is what I'll say. So we need to think on these kind of directions, like how can we solve the existing problems around it, how small tweaks can can impact in a large way. So this folding plug is one example. Next, let's come to some sustainable topics. So like you guys know, there is a lot of marine pollution out there. We throw and dump a lot of plastic in the ocean. So most of this in America, if you see, like there is this plastic ring which holds all the beer cans together. That's been thrown quite a lot there, because of which there's a lot of marine pollution and marine animals die. So there's this brewery which made these rings, which is made up of barley and wheat. So this is an edible plastic ring holder. So when this disposed of, it acts as food for the marine population. Then one more example I will give you is turning trash into treasure. So what happened, like during that time, there was a lot of Coca-Cola stickers which was found in the marine environment. So what this company did, Fitzroy, they repurposed this waste labels into this chick marble bottle caps for their premium navy rum. So this is an example of how you can repurpose waste into something much more usable as just decaying it into the environment. Yeah. One more example is like of a fallen tree, this where bench merges natural and artificial. So this is an example of how art and design can be integrated together. Like there is natural material, there is industrial material like glass used. So it gives an impression like someone was trying to make a bench and then they left it halfway, and the remaining half looks unfinished, raw. So it looks like a sculpture piece. But that's what like the scope of product design is. You can design something which has art, something which is very usable, functional, something which is just highly aesthetic. So it has various routes where you can explore. Now I'm going to talk about the design process. So this design process, what I'm going to explain is about the product design, but more or less you follow the same process in any of the design fields. So in product design, the first stage is product strategy and vision. So what happens here is you're just trying to focus on the problem and you're trying to solve them for the target user. Then defining of the user happens at this place and what kind of experience you want for the users. all that is defined in stage one. Once the strategy is decided, you go into the main stage two, which is the product design process. So here the product designers work into play. So this design process, like if you go into the net, you'll find a lot of various versions of it. This is my version, whichever I understood from studying product design. So the first phase is research phase. So in research phase, what happened? The target user, whichever you have identified, you need to understand A to Z about them. Their behavior, their actions, whatever they do, what they like, what they don't like, everything you need to know. Then you take out personas. So personas are those ideal people who will use your product, and then you interview them. You try to ask them what are the things that motivate them, what are their values, what would they like in detail, and then you carry out the normal user surveys, either through Google surveys or like that. And after getting the data about the users, there is market research. So there are a lot of marketing tools which are there. So either marketing department does that, or some things even you can do, either through internet search or some other database. After doing the research, the next phase is the analysis phase. So here, whatever you do, like whatever research you did in the first phase, you summarize them and you try to basically clear the air and try to identify what is the main thing that causing any kind of problem or what are the needs. So you define those problems. And after defining those problems, you make the final design brief. So this final design brief will be like an overall statement from the research phase and the analysis phase. After doing the design research, you go to the phase of ideation. So yeah, you do brainstorming. This is a brainstorming session I do in groups, or you sketch out pen, paper, 3D model, CADs, whatever it is, the conceptual design, which is your ideation phase. Once that is done, you go to the test phase where you make your final design, prototype it, and then get the user feedbacks. So there is something called as feedback groups. So what they do, they take your product, they use it, they assess it, and then they tell you like how the product is, how it can be changed, and then it can either go back to analysis or ideation phase. So this process keeps on happening. Any one of you guys have any doubt in this? You can ask me. Anyone?
No, ma'am.
Okay, continue then. So yeah, after this phase comes to the stage three. So stage three is where you hand over the products to the engineers. So here you need to coordinate with them a lot, because what engineers do, they would like to change the design depending upon some kind of standard requirement or some procedural requirement. So the design keeps on going back and forth. And after that, they make those final design drawings, which is again taken out for fabrication. Then after fabrication is done, the product is done, taken on to stage four, which is marketing and production. So what happens here is like the marketing team, production team, advertising team, they are the one who are responsible to sending out the product into the users. So there'll be press conferences, launch parties where this product will be introduced into the market. So after all these phases, the work of the product designer is still not over. So it's a continuous process. It keeps on going as long as the product is in the market. Because once the product is there, the marketing people is closely associated with the target user group. If there is any kind of a malfunction that is repetitive or keeps on happening, then it goes back to the product design team, where they rework the design, and then it keeps on happening. So it's a cyclic process. You need to understand the problem, generate, gather data, reframe the problem, design the solution, test the solution, the feature, follow the features, and see if it is properly stable in the market, or there's some kind of a design reform that is requirement. If the solution is there, good, okay, lasted for a year, then it's closed, or else it's cyclic in its nature. So yeah, this was it. Any one of you guys have any doubts, questions regarding the slide I showed you?
There's not a doubt. It's just a general question to you.
Yeah.
What is the biggest challenge you face while actually designing a product?
Biggest challenge I faced? Okay, I think the biggest challenge would be making your design agree to the team of engineers. It's good. Everything is good and fine till the stage of testing. Once it goes there, implementing the design exactly the way you want is one challenge. Because engineers, they work their language. You need to understand the language, and you need to try to incorporate what they are trying to understand, communicate to them. So you need to know a little bit of their side as well. So that's one of the challenging phases in design, getting it executed.
Ma'am, when you start, suppose you're designing a product, ma'am. For instance, if you can keep it as a chair itself, like how would you actually start off, ma'am?
Like you're designing a chair.
Yeah.
Okay. So there are a lot of factors that is involved in the design process. The first step would be like if you're designing a chair, you need to understand its context, who will use it. You need to know your people. Okay. Which kind of age group you want to design, which environment will it be. So one you need to do your research basically. Once you do all that entire research, I'll again take you to the process of design. Yeah. First step. Then the second step analysis would be you'll try to find data. This is something called a subject called ergonomics in design, which talks basically about how a user interacts with an object. So even the slightest or the tiniest of details, like if it is a chair, anthropometry is one of the factors you need to think of. So the entire anthropometric factors, what are the materials you think which will be used? Will it be comfortable? Will it not be comfortable? Is it my requirement? Not. Once you get all that data ready with you, then you go to the ideation phase, the brainstorm, pen, paper, models, and then you test it. So it's the same process that goes along. Actually, you know what? Like before doing the question answers, I can show you some of my work. After that, you guys can ask all the questions you want. Okay?
Yeah, ma'am.
Cool. Yeah. 1 second, I'll just. Can you guys see my screen?
Yeah, ma'am.
Because this is a project which I did in my first semester, simple product design. So this also, I decided to do this after doing design research, which was yet another course to be done. Okay, then yeah, I'll tell you the overview of it. So what happened like
Sonal, your video was stuck.
the design research, it spoke about the plans thing. Can you see me now?
Yes, but repeat from last 1 minute.
Okay, yeah, sure. Can you hear me properly, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. Okay, so like as I was saying, in the design overview, the aim of this project was to design an indoor plant pot that could blend into the indoor environment and that does not demand much attention for its health and care. That was like something vague which we, concluded from doing a design research. Then the next step was identifying the problem scenario, while doing the activity, what are the problems each of the users face. So this also we got after doing a lot of surveys. These were some of the reasons why. Then the next step was activity mapping. This is something like what is the process they do while they take care of any kind of plant. What are the tools requirement? What is the environment? What are the products they need? So that kind of mapping is done. Then next step is market analysis, where you study what are the existing products which is available in market and what's the issue with the existing product. And a little bit of market research. So what I did was I studied the existing kind of smart pots which are available to solve these problems. What are some kind of the parameters, everything, price, details. Since I wanted to make my product look like a little bit of a decor product, so I did a research of decor products as well. Then some kind of electrical products that can help me solve my problems. Then after that, I did user research, the survey pain points, like what are the main reasons and what are the problems they're facing in the indoor environment. Then we did user personas. So in user persona, what we do is like we get the basic demographic of the person, like who the person is, then what is the lifestyle he follow, and how much time he gives to the plant, what are his values, attitude towards planting, the behavior, its motivation, how much intelligence that person has. So like everything about the target user persona. So we were told to do 3 personas, and after that, the next stage was plant research. So in this, I studied like what are the lighting levels they need, what are the water requirements it needs, the fertility it needs, how much high, different density, how low, medium, or high. So doing all that research, I selected a set of indoor plants with which are the major criteria which is important in my design. I got all that information with me and the final requirements. And then after doing all the research, user, market, product, everything, I decided the final design brief. So my final design brief was now to make an indoor pot planter that's self-sustained and the sustainable environmental needs like water, sunlight. These things can be viewed into the product itself, and it either can be surface mounted or it can be suspended with aesthetic, self-watering mechanism, and suspension and LED growth light as some main design criteria. So the next step after this is the ideation sketches phases. So it's mostly pen or paper, or you can make your prototype models. So yeah, here's just some rough doodles I made, different ideas. I know it's a little rough. Yeah, and finally I came to this concept where I abstracted the form using the shape of an onion. Like the entire leaves, body, roots, I wanted to give that kind of a definition to it. And this was the final product I made. So this was a self-sufficient endopot plant with a stylish design, compact form, and multifunctional utility. And yeah, this is something which is called as the mood board. So this is something you guys will be, whoever is interested in product design, is we do a lot of mood boards anywhere. So whichever product you make, you need to do this. It's like a reference palette. So if you have any kind of concept in your head, like if you want your product to look something similar to this thing or that thing, so what you do, you get a set of pictures and then you put it together. Now these pictures should have a similar design language. Like if you see, in this case, all of them are they are white, they have certain accents, they have certain texture to it. So this is your reference plate. So you can abstract color from this, form from this, the feel, graphics, anything you want. So you can make different mood boards for different things. But like the main end result is that like your final product which you make, it should fit into this mood board. So like if you see this one and this one, they have the similar design language. It has white color with those green color accents and texture to it. So that's what mood board does. Then I did a little bit of pattern exploration. And this were the color variants, CMF color variants, which I got from the mood board again. Yeah, and this is the concept sheet, like how I abstracted it from the shape of an onion and explaining the design language, the shape and feel of it. Dimensions. This is the working mechanism, like how the self-watering system is working and how the LED growth light is there. So you need to think of all these criteria. But while designing this, you need to think about things like, yeah, service accessibility, fixtures, basically the manufacturing and engineering part of it. Like which material is it made up of and how can it be manufactured? And your main focus should be like, there are various manufacturing processes which you need to understand, like at some basic level, because it'll be easier for the engineer or even the investors to put into it, because you cannot make a design which will be very hard to manufacture or some kind of a crazy thing that maybe the manufacturing availability itself is not there. So you need to be aware of the various kind of manufacturing processes so that it is easier for you to explain and talk to the engineers as well while executing it. So yeah, these are the parts assemblies. and some product environment renders. Yeah, reference thing. That's all. You guys have any doubts in this presentation? Like, if you want
What
me
was
to
the cost
clarify
of the
anything?
product?
Yeah, can you please repeat?
So we'll come to the question answer session once you're completely done with the thing. Do you have anything else to
Okay.
show?
Yeah, I can show you one more project.
Sure, yeah.
I'll show you two projects. Yeah. So this is a project which I actually made in the workshop. It was a group project which I did. So this was a furniture design. We were told to use the entire workshop facilities and come up with the product on our own. So I thought instead of making a mass manufactured product, I'll do something with wood. Like so we went somewhere Ramdara, which was in Pune, like a hill, and then we hiked over there to find some pieces of log from a village. So we got this log piece. It was we got it for free, anyways. It was just a lying piece of dead log over there. Then we thought some kind of a concept how to repurpose this log. So the concept was to create something symbolic and blur the lines between a furniture and a sculpture. So we wanted to repurpose how a dead wooden log can be given some kind of a value, and we wanted to blend art and design together. So what we thought of, like, if we create some kind of a cavity from a tree stump and give some kind of a lighting, so we can make it a furniture and a lighting product. So this was the basic dimensioning we did. These are like some of the tools we use. So there were a lot of heavy machinery we use here. So all the sculpting tools, blower, drill machine, Dremel machine, angle grinder, things like that. We just documented the entire journey of how we made this. So like first 2 days, it was very hard, like because the wood stump was, this was a very stubborn piece of wood stump. So it was very hard for us to sculpt through it. So like you see, there are some drill marks and the cuts which we made from angle grinders, because just chisel and hammer helped in some way, but then it was hard to do. So yeah, that's me. Full sculpting work we did, create some kind of a chasm over there. And yeah, that's the smoothing processes. Then stage 3, after 3-4 days of hand sculpting, we used a angle radial drilling machine. This is one big machine which basically sculpted out, actually drilled a big hole, almost which is 2/3 part of this wooden log. Then after this, we used Dremel machines. Like if you see, we wanted to make this like a rocky surface, like, and copy the terrains of the hills. So we had those cuts which made it look like miniature hill version and like have some kind of a depth to it. So yeah, after that, we did the final finishing processes. Like we put varnish, then resin to protect it from certain elements and give some shine and glow, and added LED lighting strip inside. So yeah, the thing is, like, this project can have different interpretations and different concepts. So like we just wrote down different ways in which you can interpret this. Like some people thought it looks like an eye, some people thought that it looks like a volcano. So different versions and different to it. So this is an example of an emotional design in which how an object interacts with you. Like what we designed it, we just wanted to create a piece of sculpture. Like when you're sitting in your patio somewhere and you're talking to your friend, this can act like a conversation starter where you can talk about your treks, your trips, and how much you miss nature, something like that. So we created this soft glow lighting feature to create a lot of psychological response. Yeah. The final environment render of the product. Okay.
Okay, before
So,
we start
guys,
question answer session, can you all switch on your cameras? Let this be interactive, please. Rajashri, Divya, all of you. All right. Yeah. Now you can all ask whatever doubts you have regarding the subject, and this will be considered the question answer session.
Ma'am, I have two questions for you. So the first
Yeah,
one is
sure.
we noticed that many architects branch out of architecture and they, pursue various things like graphic design and product design and all the different branches. So for you personally, what was your reason or your story of, choosing product design? That's my first question. Second one is how same or different was studying architecture? Like as a student, what was your perspective of, pursuing the two courses?
Okay. So yeah, like I did not think of doing product design in first place. Like I was sure I wanted to do masters in architecture. I wrote a lot of entrance exams as well. I wrote GATE twice. I clarified GATE, but then what happened? Like I was not very sure about doing my masters in architecture itself. It's something like which will come across to every architect's mind once you graduate. Like up kya next you have to do masters. But then when I thought what is it I actually want to do after 2 years was the question I asked myself. The thing about product design is whenever you do a new project, it's from the scratch. The research is from the scratch. You study technology, you study engineering, you study a lot of things, a lot of domain. You have to put yourself in a new domain. So that similar level of excitement I did not find in architecture when I was because I did do I did work in a firm for 2 years. So at one point it became very monotonous for me. So I wanted to get out of that monotony, and I'm a little bit more inclined towards how machines work, how technology works, and how you can get the chance to innovate something completely from scratch. So that excited me way more. So I tried to deviate from there and do product design. Yeah, what was the second question you asked? How it is similar, right?
Similar or different?
Yeah.
What was your experience?
So there are a lot of things which are similar. Like from the first semester itself, we were taught about design principles. So that is something which we architects are really strong at. I mean, 5 years we just did design, so we have an eye for design. It becomes very easy for you to amalgamate when it comes to aesthetic terms. The challenge I faced was engineering and manufacturing because my batch was filled with mechanical engineers, and there was just two architects in that batch. So those engineers, they kind of, it was easy for them to understand this. So it took me a little while, but then that was something challenging. Other than that, everything is almost similar. Like I told you, the design process is similar. There are more tools in product design, but since you're a designer, it'll be easy for you to understand and adapt.
Where did you pursue your this thing, product design? Which college, like, which place,
Why
which
did I what?
institution? Where did you pursue? Which institution?
I am MIT Institute of Design, Pune.
Any other questions, guys?
Ma'am, what was the final price of your product, ma'am?
This is a classroom project. I have not put this on market, or else I wouldn't be showing you. It would be under NDA.
Oh, okay.
Ma'am, how did you decide that you want to give a green color to your project? The planter which you did.
The green color.
Yeah.
How did I design it? See, it's a green planter thing. It's I wanted to create elements of nature, so I had three CMF boards, right? There was green, there was blue, there was red. So that was the concept behind it.
Mom, but when you look at it, actually, there are when you get into a lot, like when you get into details of architecture, and if you take up a project, there are at times when you have to actually design your own custom fittings, mom. Suppose like
Yeah.
some places, so it's like kind of like both the things are pretty interrelated when you look that way.
Yes, that's true. I mean, the first time when I did something close to product design was in architecture itself. I think this was seventh semester BPM where they told us to design these furniture like almirah or a table or something they told us. So I wanted to redesign the drafting table. That's when my professor told me about this is something similar grounds on product design because that was very exciting for me to do.
Yeah, ma'am. So in that case, we'll actually be designing a lot of things that will be related to product design.
Yeah. It has a very similar backgrounds. Furniture, lighting, all these come. These are some domains where product and architecture actually share boundaries.
Yeah, ma'am.
Ma'am,
Yeah.
do you think the minimalization of things, which is a recent pattern that we've seen in take for example the Google logos or anything, do you think those are the pattern that we're seeing, that people are trying to get more to the basic structure, basic outline of things, is a good approach in product design? Is it heading in a good way, or is it heading, I know, what is your opinion on it, ma'am?
This is again like minimalism itself is a design language. Like as you said, it's a very common trend. If you say that's everywhere. Personally, why I feel it's so much hype and it's so much everywhere, because the user doesn't have to think too much while using that product. Okay, it's like removing visual clutter. So when things are straight to the point and direct, the cognitive load which they had, it's very less, and it looks clean. And basically, it's one of the reasons to avoid confusion, is what I feel, and that's why it's just so much everywhere.
Ma'am, but like, again, the Google logos, for example, it's not very, because people now get confused between what is this Gmail, is this, photos. It's a common thing that's happening. So for
Yeah.
me personally, I think the designer should have that fine line of distinction between minimalism, too much minimalism, and
Yeah, too much minimalism can also lead to confusion. Like you have seen those clocks which have been designed by designers. People can't even tell time because they go way beyond the line when it comes to minimalism. They can't see the time. There'll be nothing. There'll be just one plain clock, and in terms of the hand things, there'll be something else. So yeah, there should be a line. There should be a balance, is what I want to say. When people cross that, then it becomes confusing, bias.
yes, ma'am, I also agree.
Yeah.
All right, guys, any other questions? We'll wrap up the session then.
Oh, excuse me, ma'am.
Yeah.
Ma'am, this is actually about the pot design. Oh, actually, few days back, even I was thinking on this smart pot. What I was thinking is, I didn't think about the auto watering thing, but I was thinking about the soil wetness, so that it indicates the user and the user can water it manually. So, like, how is your device? I mean, like deciding over the water level.
Okay, so what I created was a self-watering mechanism. What it had to do, and I selected particular kind of plants that will be okay with that kind of mechanism. So what I had was a cotton wick. You know the principle of how aquifers work? Nayashri, yeah. You know how aquifers work?
Actually, no, ma'am.
Okay, so aquifers, like they are like underground water storage wells. So people basically dig up the ground to get water from these underground wells. So what it does, it basically stores water. So it is in the similar principles, okay, of an aquifer. When I put a cotton wick in the pot, like below the pot, there is stored water, okay, and this water will be stored for almost 2 weeks, and there is a cotton wick. So what happens is like there's the capacity of the soil to absorb the water through the wick. So it absorbs the water through the wick and it remains hydrated for almost 2 weeks. So the user here, what they have to do, they just need to fill the water, put the LED grow light on and off, that is manual, and then just leave it for the next 2 weeks. You don't have to think about watering it. And this way your plant survives. It gets the light also, it gets water as well.
Ma'am, did you like go through the cleaning process, or is that required? Because at times so will have to change the soil.
Oh, the repotting,
Because-
right?
Yeah,
Uh,
ma'am, the reporting thing because my mom keep doing it. She puts some fertilizer and things. So
Yeah, so when I made this design, like you'll get the pot with the plants. So and these are succulents. Succulents, you don't need to repot. They have a minimum height up to which they'll grow. And worst case, if you want to repot, you can repot it. You can repot it and place it somewhere else. But these are succulents, and succulents generally don't need repotting. I hope that answers your question.
yes, ma'am. Yes, yes.
Ma'am,
Yeah.
I've heard of the terms product design and industrial design, and honestly, it's kind of confusing to me of what the difference between these two are. So, if you could brief that.
Okay. So, main difference between industrial and product design is the scale, is that I tell you. And product design actually is a part of industrial design. It's a subset. And industrial design, you can do more things like machine design, things like that, and equipment design, or which is much more mass manufactured, a bit more complex. If you are an industrial designer, maybe you can even work in automation. You can work in transport. Product comparatively has a limited scope, so it's a subset of industrial design. And industrial design, some things are mostly mass manufactured. Even in product it is, but industrial, it's more on those grounds. So yeah, these are some common differences.
Would you say it's easier for an architect to be an industrial designer or a product designer?
Easier.
Yeah.
Depends upon your interest again. So yeah, like if you're more inclined towards machine work, I think you can take up industrial design as well. If you like design, if you want to design cars, especially, like an industrial designer can do both. It can do transport as well as product. So yeah.
Thank you.
All right, guys, I think we can end the question answer session here. Can we all thank architect Sonal Sahai for joining us today? I think all of you enjoyed the session very well. Yes.
Yes,
Yes.
ma'am.
Yes,
ma'am.
ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you,
Thank
ma'am.
you, ma'am.
Thank you so much, Sonal.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you,
Thank you for
ma'am.
joining. It was a good session. Bye
Yeah,
bye,
thank
guys.
you
That's it
guys.
for today.
Bye, ma'am.
Bye.
Bye,
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 ma'am.
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 Thank you, ma'am.
Bye, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am. Bye, ma'am.
Bye.
Sonal, are you waiting here to chat with me? I'll call you now. Bye.